It is that time of the month. Time to replace your deodorant. Welcome to the Overcome Depression podcast. The tools you learn here can make depression a part of your past, allow healing regardless of your present circumstances, and offer hope for your future. I am your host, Jennifer Stirling-Campbell. One of the first things I did when I started realizing the impact of chemicals on my mood and ability to thrive and be happy and overcome depression was I went through my entire home pharmacy, all of the chemicals that I had, the products that I used, and I basically purged everything that I could afford to get rid of and replaced them with more natural items. One of the first things I got rid of was my antiperspirant deodorant. Now, what's so bad about antiperspirant deodorant? It's not the worst thing, honestly. Aluminum is what is used to cause us to not perspire. That's the antiperspirant part. There are a lot of deodorants out there that aren't necessarily antiperspirant, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend them either because they have a lot of other fragrances and chemicals in them. And I will give you a list of some of my favorite deodorants at the end of this video that are very clean and actually work really, really well. Because honestly, when I first started shopping for deodorants and started trying different ones, I was rather surprised at the price as well as how poorly they worked. I felt like I was throwing my money away because I might as well not wear anything if they're not going to work. I sweat quite a bit. I live in Arizona. Summers, it's inevitable. Especially when I was young and quite poor, to be honest. I couldn't afford to keep my house below 80. I think there was a point where we were keeping it at 87 because we couldn't afford the air conditioning bill at any lower than that. Crazy times. I'm really glad that I now keep my house at 79? It's amazing. Most of the time it's at 79. Sometimes at night my husband insists on 75, but completely off topic. Sorry. Back to deodorant. So again, what's the big deal about aluminum, which is the antiperspirant part of the deodorant? Well, aluminum is actually the most abundant metal on this planet, from what I understand, which is interesting to me. Why would aluminum be so abundant? That's a question I would like to ask God someday, because I don't know the answer to that. But it's also an element or metal that our body doesn't really need. We don't need that trace aluminum in our body. If we didn't have any, we would be just fine. However, we do get aluminum pretty much everywhere, from our water to the air. The food we eat, to some extent, is grown in the ground that absorbs some aluminum. And our aluminum pots and pans, our aluminum foils that we use, none of these things are terrible. It's just when you accumulate over the year after year after year of using aluminum foil and aluminum pans and antiperspirant deodorant, that over time it tends to accumulate in the body so that it becomes toxic and can do damage to our bodies and our minds. Aluminum is a known neurotoxin. At small amounts, it's probably not a big deal, but again, we live in a world that's become pretty toxic, and so minimizing the aluminum in our products is helpful to mental health, health of the body, all of that stuff. And that's why I'm talking about it here on the Overcome Depression podcast. So how does antiperspirant deodorant actually work? The aluminum is actually aluminum salts. And when they dissolve on the skin, they create kind of this gel-like substance that clogs the pores so that the sweat doesn't reach the surface of the skin. Botox can also do this as well. I know some people who've used Botox to prevent themselves from sweating. I don't recommend this. Sweating is usually a good thing in general, but what happens is when we sweat, that's where the odor comes, not so much from the sweat, but from the bacteria that consume the sweat and then excrete whatever they do when they're done consuming the sweat, and that apparently stinks. Aluminum also inhibits the bacteria that cause the odor, so all around it does a pretty good job at what it claims it does. However, again, there are some consequences that come from high levels of aluminum in the body, which are neurological damage, bone disorders, kidney and liver damage, respiratory issues, blood disorders, oxidative stress, and enzyme inhibition. Additionally, the fragrances in a lot of these products are endocrine disruptors. So think hormonal imbalances not helping. And we all know what happens when we're hormonally imbalanced. It's bad moods all around usually, or just things not working properly, infertility, all that lovely stuff. So better to get better deodorant. It lasts a long time. I want to say good deodorant is about 8 times as much as the bad deodorant on sale. Maybe not. Maybe 4 times as much. But I do want to emphasize that I believe that investing in these products, that again, they last a while. Just invest in things for your health that are going to make a difference. It will keep you healthy. It will, in the long term, I hope, pay off for you, as well as make your life better, make you feel better. So the ones that I recommend are Schmidt's. There are some that have natural, like essential oils, things like that, and others that do have fragrances included. So I would look on the back and just check and see if you can find the ones that don't have the artificial fragrances in them. But Schmidt's is awesome. Lume is awesome. If you are on a really tight budget and you're looking for budget, you can try coconut oil. I've heard from some people that really, truly works for them. So give it a try. You could, if you have essential oil, you could add a little essential oil to the coconut oil and slap it on. I will leave links to these products in the description. I have no affiliate links for them. I just am impressed with their products. So please support them and yourself by improving your life one step at a time.